Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 178 at scavengerlife.com. And we are talking about what's going on in our store this week and other things. Also,
Ryan's in a very good mood right now. This is a very nice moment.
Oh, it is, and we're recording it too. So, we stayed overnight at our farmhouse. I've stayed overnight here before, but this is the first time you have.
And this is the place where, for the past 3 years, we bought an old farmhouse near our home, and we've been renovating it to become a vacation rental, because we live in a rural area where people go on vacation.
Right.
So we've been using our eBay income to invest in this other business. So we have like two kind of different kinds of businesses that we hope we can manage good and bad times.
So the funny thing is, we stayed overnight. We decided to stay over because we wanted to just do lots of work until late at night.
And we're here right now.
We're here right now. And the funny thing is, we were sitting here getting ready for the podcast, and we got our first booking on Airbnb.
It was great.
It was quite a moment. Like, I was not prepared for, like, the emotion behind that moment. Like, Jay just started laughing and I started crying.
Oh, like tears of joy.
Oh yeah. I was just like, I am like over the moon because we worked so hard to make this house beautiful.
Yeah, really had to kind of, redo a place to make it beautiful. And the exact kind of person we want, she booked several months out,
right?
But she's having a wedding in the area, a wedding, and she wants to stay here with, I guess her fiance.
Her fiance. But then the cute thing was, she was like, we want to have like the bridal party come over and we'll all get dressed ahead of time. And we're like, that is literally the people we made this house for. Like, those are the people, like young people who want to come and do a party and like, have the family over and get dressed for the wedding.
But obviously the thing, it strokes our ego. The thing we loved is she said she liked the photos and the description of our place, that it looks very modern and clean.
Because it's an old house. This house is from 1850.
Right.
So,
but we've been decorating it with stuff we've been finding as we scavenge. Cool like mid-century artwork, and
we scavenged a big nice television.
Yeah, nice, really nice wood furniture, and so we really in leather couches. I mean, things we've been able to scavenge over the past 3 years for just incredible deals. Yeah, but really, it all comes together.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling.
So this is the moment where we feel like whatever justified or
all the work has come to this. I mean, granted, it's one booking, but it's for forever I was like, who's going to be the first people? I wonder who. I mean, they might not be the first people to stay here because it's a few months away, but they're the first people that saw our place and thought, that's the style we want for our wedding, weekend.
It's nice. So, it's always, it makes me feel like when we started selling on eBay, when those first days of putting stuff up and when something would sell and you just get so excited. Like, you can't believe someone saw something you put up and then they bought it. And
I think also part of it too is it's that, and you can't believe that you had the idea and it actually worked. You're like, oh, this person understood what I was trying to do. With vintage, one of a kind, or like a rental house like this, you're like, oh, they get it.
Right.
They have the same feeling I have when I see a place like this, you know? So that feels good. You're like, we're not crazy. We didn't just put all our money into nothing.
So what's also nice is that the financials of it's interesting. So, like on eBay, if you sell one item, or at least we do, and we rarely get return customers, and person buys normally just one thing. They don't come and buy, 5 or 6 things.
And that happens sometimes, but it's rare.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's nice for here. So this person booked, 4 nights, which is be fairly normal to come out to a country place. You went 2 to 4 nights.
A long weekend.
And so 4 nights for us that's $823.
Yeah, because we're doing it like...
it's about $200
a night at this moment.
I mean, there's obviously costs associated with that, fees and taxes, but that gets exciting for us where, if each booking can be, $400 to $800. I mean, that's really nice.
It's just so different than eBay.
Yeah.
But, obviously we love both. So yeah, it's like a whole new.
But I will also say, this is not going to be a rental podcast, but it is. But it is a part of our business.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that selling on eBay really helps inform us for doing this on Airbnb. And, and Airbnb.com is just one of these places where you can rent places. You can also go to a VBRO.
I think it's VRBO. Vacation Rentals by Owner.
Got you.
Yeah.
And there's multiple of these websites. We just choose Airbnb because it's a little more fresher.
And we've used it a lot ourselves, so.
But it really does work like a place like eBay, where, eBay has top-rated seller. Airbnb has like Superhost, where if you have certain requirements, they kind of push you up a little bit. It's the same thing with like people send you questions, and just like eBay, we're really good at answering them
right away.
Right away.
And the whole idea of good photos, good description, good communication.
Right.
That is the key to an eBay business, we think.
Right.
We know, So it's a similar thing. Because I've heard from other people, like, people who have been doing cabin rentals for a long time, and they're like, just make sure you respond to people right away because they'll find another cabin if you don't. I'm like, are you kidding me? I have my phone on constantly, like, just to, like, pull the car over and like respond to someone.
Airbnb even has an app like eBay does, and when someone sends you a message, it makes a special noise. And actually, this was the first message we gotten, so we didn't really know what that noise was.
Well, I had heard it before when we book stuff, but I was like, what? Why is someone sending us a message? We're not like on vacation.
Right. So it's like a little animals. It's like a new noise to get excited about when we hear it,
Yeah, I literally was like so emotional. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's good.
So, yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, I think anyone that runs their own business knows that exciting feeling when something is you work for.
Yeah.
It seems to work.
It's not even so much like, wow, we're making money. It's like, oh, this actually makes sense. Like, this is real.
It's about making money.
Well, it's about making, but it's that initial feeling of like,
no, I get it.
Oh, okay. We're not completely insane, which most people probably thought we were, taking 3 years to redo a house.
Yeah.
But.
So, that's good. Okay.
So, eBay.
So, let's talk about eBay, because that's why we're all here today. And,
you sound like we're at a seminar or something. That's what's brought us all here today.
Slide 3. Okay, so let's talk about our numbers. Okay, so we made our gross was $2,600.
It was a good week.
Which was twice as much as we made last week. So, again, this is just one of those things like, why?
Why?
No idea. There's nothing we did differently. It's just... this past week, there happened to be the people online that were looking for stuff. And last week, there were fewer of those people.
And what's interesting about this week, too, like you look at the numbers and you're like, wow, those are great numbers, But there were some days where one pair of like $20 pants sold. And then there were other days where it was like a $400, $500 day. It's like... mountains and peaks. It's just like up, down, up, down.
So we sold a total of 38 items.
Yeah.
Which is actually a little fewer than is last week. Last week we sold 43 items. However, the difference is the quality of the items or the cost of the items.
Right.
So we had 12 items that sold under $30. But we had 9 items that sold over $75.
Right.
And actually 5 of those items were over $200. So...
5 items over $200 is like what I want to be normal.
Right.
Although, like you said, we can't control that. But I would love it if that were normal.
We've always told ourselves is like those things aren't going to sell unless we put them up. And so we can't depend on those to sell all the time, but we have to list items that are worth a lot of money if we want to sell them.
Right, exactly. It seems so ridiculous to even have to say that, but it's like if you want to sell items that are over $200, $100 to $200, you have to list those items.
But I mean, as those numbers say, though, a significant portion of our sales came from items that were $40, $50. I mean, it's still it's tough. It's like. It's not black white. You just can't say, okay, I'm just going to list only things that are worth over $100, because I don't know. I still feel for us the bread and butter stuff is still important. It's still like an important part of our business.
Yeah, we find a lot of that stuff. I mean, we find a lot of it and we sell a lot of it. So, we're not moving away quickly from those things. So.
And then we grew our store by another 20 items. So we sold 38. Our store has 20 more items in it. So basically this week we enlisted 58 items.
Yeah, there were some days where, like we say, I was on a roll, you were on a roll photographing, and then, half the day photographing, half the day just like sitting there.
But we had a pretty kind of a busy week last week doing some other things. Yeah. So, 58 items that's kind of average for what we normally would list.
Yeah, it's kind of
really focused. Because there were days when we weren't listing at all.
Yeah, we just had other things to do. But that's a good week. I'm happy for that week.
Now, before we talk about some of the things we sold, I just want to say something. So, it was the end of the month, it's not the end of the month, but it's the end of the eBay billing period.
Yeah.
And so we got our invoice. And I never look at any of our invoices. I'm just like, all right, it's what it is, cool. I know some people probably go over it with a fine-tooth comb, but I don't.
I have a question for you, though, before you say that. Why don't you look it over? Because usually you are really good at looking at the numbers. Is it because you don't want to obsess over it?
Because if you look at our invoice, if you look at it in a PDF, it's just they list every single little 5-cent item. It's just it's pages.
Yeah.
Because they show you everything.
Every fee.
But I don't know. I don't know why I did. Anyway, I looked, and actually I noticed up top they give you like a summary. And we were being charged $6 for these Gallery Plus fees. And what happens is, now that I've been listing, there are some items where I'll re-list or I'll put them up. And when you go to that final page, this box pops up where it's automatically checked Gallery Plus.
Now, let me just say this.
Yeah.
Gallery Plus, okay, so all those extra things from eBay, you should not pay for because they're ridiculous. You don't need them.
Yeah,
subtitles.
It's like Gallery Plus. Supposedly that they put a larger photo on.
I've never seen that. So anyway, on some categories, that Gallery Plus is free for like antiques and collectibles. But sometimes on some categories, it's $1. So sometimes if you're like sell similar, if you change the category, it'll charge you $1. But the other thing, too, is I've never seen Gallery Plus when I'm searching as, like, anything that pops up. So I don't even know what it's for at this point.
See, I think, too, sometimes what happens is, and I don't know if that happened in our case, but I've heard other people talk about it, is that Gallery Plus or it's one of these extra things will be free, but it's just temporary.
Right.
So it's free for that month, and then if you list it, then suddenly that... And so we didn't actually know that this was turned on, and then you went and looked, and it was on, some old items?
It was on 6 items. So, it was on old items. So what I did was I opened up... The invoice for eBay, too, this drives me crazy. You can view it in, 5 different ways. It's just so insane. So I viewed it as a single page. I figured out how to do that. And then within my browser, you can do Apple F or whatever, Command F, and find a certain phrase. So I typed in Gallery Plus and looked at each listing that it was, each item number, and clicked on that and took it off. So what I think you can do is, look at your invoice, and instead of looking at, 1,000, final value fees or whatever, just type in, Gallery Plus into your little find thing, and then go in and take those off.
Yeah.
That's a way to make sure you're not getting charged an extra $1 a listing.
Fine. So do you think these were ones that we've been charged for a long time?
Yes.
Wow.
Because they're old listings.
Right.
Good thing is it was only $6.
Right.
It wasn't like 25.
But see, I mean, I say I don't ever look at our invoice. I do look at it from time to time. I don't remember ever seeing that, so I don't know.
Maybe
if maybe we changed categories on those, in the past, in the recent days.
I did not remember doing that.
That sucks, though.
But it's one of those things that I think is really annoying about it's almost like hidden fees. Like you check it by accident.
It is. It's totally hidden fees. So, but
you know what I could do? I could call eBay also and be like, I do not check off anything extra for, I have almost 4,000 listings.
Right, I found out that.
Every invoice I have that I've been charged $6, you need to give me my money back. I've heard of people.
Aren't you gonna do that?
I might try.
Write yourself an email right now to do that.
Okay,
so while Ryan's sending herself a reminder email, I did want to maybe share with you, talking about an invoice, what are our fees? So we have, 500 items in the store.
3,600.
So, maybe for someone new, so what are the fees associated with having a store it's this large? Well, I kind of wrote this down. So we pay $180 a month for a store subscription. We have an anchor store.
180 or 150?
Well, sorry. So because we paid for the full year up front, we pay $150 a month.
Oh, okay.
If you pay month to month, it's 180. So actually, we pay $150 a month. So
it's cheaper if you're like, just give it to me, not month to month, just give it to me for a year.
Because we're committed.
Right.
So in that, we get $2,500 listings free out of our $3,500, and then anything after $2,500. We get charged 5 cents to list.
For the listing fees, yeah.
So basically, we paid $150 plus $57.30 for those extra listings. Which is crazy if you think about it. I mean, $57 to list
much.
all these items. It's not much. But then because we're top rated, we got $100 back.
Oh, that's nice.
So really, at the end of the day, we pay about $130 a month to have a store on eBay with all of our stuff, and for eBay to do everything they do. And then, of course, where eBay makes their money is the final value fee. I mean, that's where they really make their money.
The final value fee is what brings all the fees up. I wish it was only $100 to sell all that stuff. But
I only bring that up and that's another reason why I don't really look at our invoices, because that amount of money really is a nothing for what we make on eBay. Yeah. It's really pennies.
I mean, like we always say, compared to having a brick and mortar store where you pay rent, you pay utilities, and you pay for employees, that's insane. Right. It's crazy low.
Right. So I absolutely, if you're starting a store on eBay, you should definitely always be worried about not wanting to spend more than you make. I get that. But when you talk about these fees, I really feel like the eBay fees are the least of your worries,
Yeah.
I see new people start wasting money on all the little subscription apps, Terapeak and whatever, all these other things.
I mean, and what's funny is, like, I think Terapeak is like $20, $30 a month. I mean, if we're saying, the base rate for us to list over 3,000 items is like $130. I mean, $30 for Terapeak. I mean, look, that's crazy.
Some people like these apps. That's cool. But we see people, they start, they do Ink Frog and
they do
this
everything.
And that, and they all promise they're going to help you. And I feel like when someone's new, they say that they feel like they need to be like professional and invest. And I just feel like those things aren't the things that are really going to help you. It's really about your own organization. Like, no app is going to solve your problems.
Right. You just have to be a good worker and list.
But again, but some people might think that's controversial, so that's just our thing. We don't pay for that stuff. All right, so let's talk about some of the things we sold, because we sold some really fun things this week.
Okay, so one thing, now last weekend, I think it was Sunday, for some reason, I was like, I'm going to list all our furniture on Craigslist. I had already listed a bunch of it, but I had let it lapse.
And these were, all of the big items that we list on eBay as local pickup.
Yeah. Like anything that, is more localized. So I was like, let's just put it on Craigslist in the nearest like big city, which is Washington, D.C. I had a Herman Miller chair, Herman Miller Aeron chair. We actually bought them on Craigslist. We bought 2. One for me, for my office, and then we were going to have one at our rental house, but decided not to use it. We paid $400 for 2. And the thing about Aeron chairs, if you buy them new, they're like $1,000 for one, which sounds insane, but they're like the best office chairs you can get. So I put ours up, our extra one up for $400 on Craigslist, and this guy was just like, "Yep, sounds good." $400.
The only thing
I was amazed.
The only thing he asked was that we could meet him a little bit outside of town,
outside of DC. Yeah.
So we basically were willing to spend about 3 hours.
Yeah.
It takes about an hour there, an hour back or so. So it's about 3 hours with all the stuff, and we met him outside of DC, like in the suburbs, like at a gas station, and it was great.
It was actually smart because he said, because we live like 2.5 hours outside of DC, and he was like, "Oh, will you like be willing to bring it closer?" He wasn't like delivered to my house, and we were like, "Hey, let's look at a place that's not far from him, 20 minutes from him, but an hour for us." Because for $400 cash, I'm like, I'll take a day to do it.
Yeah. So that was great, and then on the way home, we of course have to be super productive. Ryan found a small flat screen TV that we needed for a rental, and we bought it for $50 from a young couple in a town that we were driving home through.
What's funny is Monday was a holiday, or mostly a holiday, like a postal holiday and stuff. And I was like, today's Craigslist day, because we sold something on Craigslist and then we bought something we needed on Craigslist. It was great.
And then we sold another piece of furniture just yesterday that we had on eBay.
Yep.
Someone, found it on eBay, paid for it through eBay, and then came and picked it up.
The amazing thing was, it's another chair. So this is like the chair week.
A solid oak.
This beautiful solid oak chair, probably from like the early 1900s, like an office chair.
A mission style, like very sturdy.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. We found it in an old building, so that was definitely scavenged.
That was being torn down, so we got it for free.
Yeah, we got it for free. We sold it for $300. I had make an offer on it. I did not think anyone would buy that for $300 full price.
But he probably drove an hour and a half?
I think he drove about an hour and a half.
And, he came, he looked at it, he was like, "This is perfect. I have an oak desk.
Yeah.
It's what I want. I love it. See you later."
Well,
it was great.
What's so funny is normally when people buy furniture, they're like, "Oh, I could probably pick it up next week or the week after." He was like, "Can I come right now? I'll pick it up right now." It was I love people like that. I'm like, "Yes, please."
And it really is interesting. Local pickup on eBay basically to us works like
Craigslist.
Except the only thing is that he was willing to, and he did it himself. He paid for it through eBay, and because eBay is a trusted middleman, he knew he could pay up front, and then that he could come and pick it up. So it was great. He came and picked it up. There's no exchange of money.
Yeah, we just gave it to him, and he was on his way. And then on eBay, what I do is I mark it as shipped. That's all you can do. There's no tracking or anything. You just say, basically, you're marking it as picked up.
And I know people can go into long conversations about ways this could possibly be a scam market,
or whatever.
Where someone could come pick it up, and then they can say they didn't get it. I mean, and so people are like, "Well, take a picture of the person."
Yeah, I've never had a problem with that.
For us, it's like Craigslist, where it really is. You're meeting the person, and it's been fine for us. So,
and the good thing is, if you're communicating with that person through eBay messages about your address, come at 4:00. This is my phone number. I mean, you're showing a trail of like you guys met up. So that's probably helpful too. So we had another couple big-ish sales.
So we were talking last week in the comments about counter offering. Someone I think was relatively new to doing make offer, and this is very common. We get quite a few offers during the week.
Yeah.
And very often it's too low and we'll counteroffer and we never hear back from that person.
Right.
And that is the norm. It seems like it might be an American thing, but it's most people are sending you what they're willing to pay.
Which is usually too low.
And then if you don't want to accept that, then that's the end of it.
Right.
10% of the time, because we always send a counteroffer, 10% of the time we'll get that person will either accept our counteroffer or will counteroffer higher to a price we would accept.
Right.
And that's great.
Right.
But this past week, we had 2 buyers take counteroffers, which is, kind of rare.
What items were they? I remember one is a rug.
Right, and then I forgot what the other one was.
The other one.
But it was interesting. Both buyers took about a day to accept, so it's one of those things where they send in a low offer, we send a counteroffer. I just assume, all right, that's done. And then the next day, we get 2 cha-chings, and both of them are offers that they accepted.
Right.
So
it is funny when that happens because I just, like you said, assume we're not going to hear from those people. And basically at the last minute, when it's almost 48 hours up, they're like, yeah, I'll accept it. So that's kind of nice.
So I think counteroffers are great to do.
Yeah, and you know what? The other thing about offers, best offer, is people seem to get really offended if someone's like, I'll give you $5 for this. For me, I'm just like, decline. I don't think 2 seconds about it. I'm just like, whatever. They're trying to see how low we'll go if we have auto decline on. Right. And we don't, so we just decline it. Or we counter it a realistic.
I mean, we almost always counter. Even if, we have a $100 item, someone offers us $5, we'll counter with $95. Because sometimes the person then comes back and counters at a more reasonable amount. Because I think they were just trying to test the waters, to see if we had the auto thing. That
auto decline on.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We also sold a pair of women's shoes for $120.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's interesting about this sale is that we've had them for about a year.
Right.
We actually one time accepted a $40 offer.
Yes.
And then the person ended up returning them.
Did they either return them or they were like, I don't want these or something?
And this is a pair of shoes that people kept sending us relatively low offers, and we just kept holding out because they're really really kind of a fancy pair of walking shoes.
Yeah,
they were cool.
They're in the video. You guys see them in my last video, and as I looked at them, they were unworn.
Right,
they're brand new.
And so someone just bought them full price, done.
That's so nice.
For me, it's just another example of we don't mind being patient if we know the item has value to it.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, it's better to have. Although I guess we were willing to sell it at $40 at one point, but that was one of those days where it's really slow and we were just so hungry for a sale. But I'm glad it didn't work out because we ended up making $80 more. I
think it's fun when that happens. I've had other items that I felt like I sold too low, and then someone returns them because it doesn't fit, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm putting it up higher because I know it's worth more, and then it sells for the higher price.
And as Ryan said earlier, she is now making and posting these videos of our What Sold Is videos throughout the week. So if you haven't been watching those, it seems like those would be helpful for me when I was starting out because I could actually get a real physical sense of what is someone selling.
And for how much,
right?
Yeah,
I mean, so I have a couple more things to talk about here about things we sold. And these are just more examples of if you're willing to be patient, that things can sell for high. We sold a high school varsity jacket. Wasn't even that vintage. I mean, it was vintage.
It was vintagey. It wasn't from the 30s.
Maybe the 80s. And it sold for $160 to someone in Japan.
Yep, that's in the video too. And the cool thing is that I did have make offer on that, but they bought it for full price.
And if you think about it, that's brilliant because it's someone in Japan is basically buying this exotic
Americana
jacket.
It's very Americana, and it's great because it has the name of the town on the back, and it was a cross country runner, so it's got these great cross country patches. It's very classic looking. It's really incredible. So,
but and we're going to talk about it. It's later. I mean, that's also another benefit of just pricing things high because if you get a leather and wool jacket, I mean, $160 is reasonable for something like that rather than, God, I just see newish people, they'll get something like that and they'll put it up for like $20.
Yeah. And the other thing too is if you look at like Urban Outfitters or like some like hipster brand catalog, they sell Letterman, varsity looking jackets for a lot of money. I mean, $300, and shoot, if you can get a real, vintage Americana one for under $200, I think that's why someone paid full price because they're like, oh, I want that one,
We sold a $200 rug.
Yes.
A wool rug that we talked about before. We got it in Amsterdam and we were going to use it in this rental house we have, but it turned out it wasn't the right size. It's actually a little bit thin. It's very it's a Killam rug.
A Killam rug, yeah.
But it's very thin, so it kind of folds up or it kind of bunches up. And it's got some wear to it. Part of me wanted to keep it for a later date because we put so much work into finding it and then carrying it all the way home from Amsterdam. But we ended up selling it for $200.
I had it up for $300, and she made an offer of
like $100.
I think $100, yeah.
Then $150, and then we settled at $200. So,
and like you said, it was quite faded, and there was a hole in the middle. Still a gorgeous, beautiful rug.
It was awesome. It's just one of those moments where a good example of we are not real collectors.
Yeah.
If something doesn't seem like it's something we're going to use anytime soon,
let's just sell it.
We basically sell it.
Let's sell it to someone who's going to use it and it's going to be beautiful.
It's philosophy where just put it back in the waste stream, and then when we need a rug, we always find a cool rug.
We just bought 2 rugs, and we found them.
And then just a couple of last things. We sold another pair of glasses that Orion has listed, and these were like Gandhi shaped its glasses, those round or John Lennon glasses, and it's got those cool things that kind of hook behind the ears.
Yeah, it's like this flexible, bendable wire that hooks behind the ears.
I mean, $96 that we couldn't have paid more than $2 for.
So the reason I was able to sell them for $96 is because they were gold filled, which means it's almost like gold plated, but it's thicker than gold plated. Right. So it's worth more.
And that's something we actually just learned recently was the difference between calling something gold filled or gold plated.
Gold filled will be marked as such. Yeah. It'll be called like 12K GF. That means gold filled.
And that also is a good symbol that it's older because that's what they used to do before gold plating.
The funny thing is this person asked me to measure these because I didn't have measurements on it, which is ridiculous. I don't know why I didn't. So I measured them and then they bought them for full price. Global shipping, someone in I think they're in Japan or Taiwan. It's an Asian address.
Anyway, those are some of the fun things we sold. I mean, again,
cool things.
This was definitely a more rare week where we sold a lot of high dollar items. This does not happen every week.
So no, but it's nice. Exciting when it does.
So this past week, one of the things we did when we had taken that chair to meet that guy from Craigslist. Yeah. This is often how we scavenge.
Yeah.
We have something to do, like we have to go to point A to point B, so we'll just be scavenging all along the way. Yeah. So we stopped at all the thrift stores we knew along the way.
Yep. Yeah, so one of the thrift stores that's in the town on the way to meet this guy was Goodwill.
Yeah, I mean, we still go to Goodwill. It's not like our go-to, but we'll
find stuff. I mean, we'll find a high-end. I actually found a high-end pair of designer shoes there. They were $6.
But that's not. It's what the story is. The story is we stop at this Goodwill, and we've stopped at this places before. I mean, like other people have said, just in the past 4 years, the prices at this Goodwill have at least doubled.
Yeah,
I mean, it was very expensive.
Yes.
And they even had, I think is becoming very common, they had some items, right on the counter that had an eBay printout taped right there.
Yep. Although I will say they were selling it a little bit less than the eBay printout, but not much.
But the fact is, as everyone says, a lot of these places are now pegging their prices to eBay. So maybe they don't sell it as much as that. And often what they do is they print out what it's selling for, not what it's sold for.
Right. It's not a sold listing. It's like someone listed this for $90 and you're like, well, is it really worth that? I don't know.
So, I mean, and I only bring this up because, we've been kind of, for lack of a better word, arguing with a lot of people in the comments about this. People complain about Goodwill. And my point is, like, stop shopping there. Or, if you depend on places like Goodwill as your go-to, your sole source of income, that might not be the best strategy. Right. I mean, if they're catching on, that's just the way it is. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that, right. So, branch out. And we've talked about it. Auctions, estate sales, flea markets. Yard sales. Smaller thrift stores that, are more run by churches. And then that being said, though, there's another Goodwill that we actually go to much more often, the one in the other town. And it is so cheap because why? It's in the quote-unquote bad part of town. Yeah. And so it's great. We go there, $3 shoes all day long.
Sometimes they're cheaper than that.
Right.
So it's just...
So, it's not like all Goodwills are expensive. A lot of them are. And then there are some that aren't. Right.
Like, I've been to some in Northern Virginia, like right outside of D.C., and people have complained about this, where shoes are $20, $30, $40, $50. I mean, for a reseller, that's impossible. But so you can't shop at a place like that.
I mean, I think my thing is just like, scavenging isn't something you can just learn in a YouTube videos. Like what we make is cool, but you could never learn how to scavenge only by watching.
You have to go out and try stuff.
Like all these haul videos. Right. Like those are interesting, but you just have to really go out there and do it.
I mean, it's all experience. I mean, that's the thing is like we've been doing this since 2008, 2009, and that's several years of just knowing what we like to sell and what we know will sell for what price. It's just time and experience, You hone those skills as you go out and you do it.
Well, even in that one expensive Goodwill, we walked out with 2 items. Yeah. We paid $6 for each of them, but they'll each sell for over $50. Right. And these are just items that either they didn't know that they were worth more,
or nobody wanted them, or like one was a high-end pair of women's shoes, but it was a very small size, so I think they were like, these aren't, and they were like super high platform, like nobody around here is going to wear those. So
or just not everyone, those people don't know every brand or
that's true.
So I mean, again, it is possible, but all that comes from experience. Like, again, I don't know how newer people, especially people that are really tuned into all these Facebook groups and they have bolos. What is that?
I don't know.
It's like items to be on the lookout for.
Be on the lookout?
Yeah, be on the lookout.
Like, what is that stand for?
I don't know. Like, do people go out with like a list and they're only looking for those things on the list? Because that is not how we scavenge. The way we scavenge is we go just anywhere, and it's a total blank slate. Like
what looks cool?
Anything could go. I mean, anything could be in our cart, and we just look for whatever's cool, and you start feeling it and looking at it, and then, every so often we'll do a quick search on the eBay app, but mostly you're going by just instinct.
Well, and you will find stuff like, a nice pair of men's wing tips with leather soles that are in pretty good shape. Yeah, I'm going to get those. Right. I know those sell. I like to sell them.
And sometimes...
That comes with time,
Sometimes, too, it's, I'll pick something up. It looks cool. I'll show it to Ryan and be like, you think Grandma would want this?
That's which is our code word.
Our code word. And Ryan will just be like, I don't want it. Even if it sells, I don't want to have to take pictures of it.
Depending on what it is.
I don't want to have to ship it. I don't want to sell. It's important too that we're just getting stuff that's interesting for us. I mean, I'm sure some of you out there would gasp at the fact that I don't look at, touch, I don't even acknowledge their existence, plush toys. I just man. We see the big bins of these plush toys, and I know that people pay $50 for those kind of things, but it's just not interesting to us. And so we don't buy them.
Well, I think part of it too is it's not like I don't want to sell a teddy bear for $50. Obviously I do. I don't want to take the time to research that because that's not what I'm interested in researching. I'd much rather research all these other things.
Right. So I think that's, the people who are gathered here, if you're like us, you're more like, it's more treasure hunting.
Yeah.
Where we're just, letting our instinct and experience guide us, but you pick it up, you do a calculation in our heads.
Yeah.
And then we get it. And I think that there are other sellers, and I find like maybe those might be the FBA-like people, where it's much more scientific.
Right.
Where like, they're buying wholesale.
Yeah.
It's just purely this equation, this number. It's not, I don't know if there's so much of a treasure hunt when it comes to that, but that's really more important for us,
Right. It's definitely a huge part of it. Right. I mean, we have equations that we run in our head, and we have to make sure we're not going to lose money, and we're going to make enough profit that it makes sense, but I also want to enjoy every day.
Yeah, like always finding new kinds of items, and I think those videos that you're now posting about what we sell, I hope you kind of get a sense of the kind of things that we get attracted to.
Right.
And you're like, look at this cool thing. And then it's even more exciting. It's sold. Like, I can't believe
someone bought it for the price I wanted. Like, that's amazing.
I mean, it's just like when we did our first rental on this house today.
Yeah.
Like, it was just exciting. Like, we had a vision for who we thought might rent this house or who might buy this item. And then it actually worked.
Yeah.
Like, that's exciting to us.
And what that does is that type of success will fuel your future decisions.
Right. And plus it makes it exciting, and that's different from me. And again, I'm just going to do it because I'm going head to head with the FBA people. Why it's just not as exciting? Because, if we're just buying iPhone cases, I mean, everyone's buying iPhone cases. It's not like an exciting moment to sell an iPhone case.
Right. So, there's no...
I get it. It makes money. It's awesome. I'm glad people do that.
Yeah.
I sometimes buy an iPhone case. I'm glad people do it.
Right.
It's just not the thing that when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I want to spend my time doing that.
It's not a fulfilling, business.
Other people have a fulfilling business doing that. That's my diplomatic way to get out of this conversation. Okay. The other thing was, so in a week, we're going to our first auction of the year, kind of the more expensive auction.
It's a fancy...
That we talked about.
Fancy auction.
It's one where we have to travel a little bit. We're actually going to sleep over at a friend's house because it's a morning auction, so we want to be able to wake up and show up there early.
Go there, yeah.
And, it's a kind of auction where we are willing to drop...
How much?
up to $1,000.
Oh God! We'll be getting the credit card out for that one.
Finding like higher dollar nice items.
Yeah.
Finding things that we hope we could sell for over $500.
Right.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is
an experiment.
This is what we just talked about. About the scavenging as a treasure hunt / exercise in like a new thing.
I think part of it too for these auctions, because we've been to an auction at this place. We've been to a very high-end auction at this place, and then the regular like stuff is in a warehouse type auction, but it's still super fancy. So we've been to both of them. It's feeling out what other buyers, actual like regular rich people, are not wanting, and then what the sellers, the other high-end sellers, are looking for, and what nobody else wants that is valuable.
Right.
Like, there's like this weird in-between world where you're like, those guys are dealers, and they're high-end, like, fancy-ass, expensive dealers. Those are rich people, clearly. And then where is the in-between that you can make money on that is valuable? So it's...
That's a good way to put it, yeah. And, at the same time, we're also learning about a lot of the stuff being sold because it's,
what's selling for high.
It's nicer art and ceramics and...
signed crystal from, Czechoslovakia.
These rugs that, are very valuable. Like, actually, we're
sitting on a rug.
We bought there.
Yeah.
And we bought it for $350. And I remember we bought it, and just, it happened to be that no one wanted it.
And it's gorgeous.
And a seller, a guy who buys and sells at this place, he came and said, that rug's probably worth $3,000.
He was like, I can't believe you paid that for that rug. And I think people didn't want it because there's a little bit of fading. I don't care about that. It's like a 10 by 12 huge Persian, gorgeous, incredible rug.
But, even just talking about it makes me very excited. I mean, it's still a week away, so we'll probably be talking about in the next podcast. But that's one of the new things we're doing in 2015 and I think that's what keeps it fun, is that we try and push ourselves into new areas,
Yeah, yeah. And if you're willing to take even $1,000, that's a lot of money. But if you think you're going to make a lot more than that, that's a pretty small risk for a business, that amount of money. I mean, generally speaking.
I think it's something we talk about, and we have not cracked the code yet. Like, can we make selling $100, $200, $300 items the normal thing? Could we make that be our bread and butter?
Right.
I mean, and the answer we always come up with, well, we need to have we have to have a steady stream of those kind of items that we can get at a reasonable rate. So.
Right. Exactly.
We'll
that's an experiment. I will still continue to sell men's pants for $20.
For the moment, yeah. Until we can crack that code, we're still doing the bread and butter items.
I'll sell some old shoes.
Yeah, and so this week too, we're just we still have 10 days or so before we go out of town for a job. So my goal is we're taking photos and we're like cleaning up old inventory. And so this week I'm going to need Ryan's help to actually help me take some of these pictures of stuff. Like we still have some jackets, some pants, some clothes we have to take pictures
Miscellaneous.
We have a lot of electronics.
Yeah, because sometimes electronics, I tested all of them, but they take a little bit more time than just candlesticks, because you have to show them turned on,
big boom boxes.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's pretty easy. It's just they've been piling up. That's part of it.
Right. So that's good. So we are going to play some of the questions that have been sent in to us.
Yes.
So we do take questions by call. You can call and leave a message.
We don't answer the phone. The number is 540-407-8486.
And just remember, too, some people have been calling and leaving extremely long messages. They cut you off after a couple of minutes, so it's best if you just kind of call and try and keep it a little bit succinct.
Concise. Yeah, exactly.
And you can call from international. We love calls from overseas.
We actually got an international call this week, so we'll hear it in a minute. But first, let's take the very first call.
Hi, Ryan and Jay, Steve from Connecticut. This is more a comment rather than a question. Just listening to episode 176, and I heard you discuss or talk about the best offer for and not getting paid when you accept the best offer. I've read in other forum posts that if you counter, even with the same offer price, for instance, if the price is 60 and they counter at 30, if you counter that counter even at $30, the same price that they're countering you at, it forces them to pay you now. And so far recently, I've been doing this, and I've had no pays on my best offers, buy it now best offers. So again, simply if I'm willing to accept that amount, I just counter them back with the same price. And if they decide to buy it, it may seem weird, but if they decide to buy it, I guess it forces them into immediate payment. Anyhow, just wanted to have you try that and see how it works for you guys. So far it's working for me. So Have a good day. Episode 176 was awesome as always. Take care. Bye-bye.
We appreciate this call.
Yes.
Although I'm a little bit skeptical of this thing that he's saying.
This rule.
I mean, I couldn't find anything about this on eBay, so we would love it if other people would chime in. I mean, what he's saying is someone sends an offer, you counteroffer the exact same.
Right.
And then if they accept that, they then have to immediately pay. I don't see that being true.
Yeah, because a lot of times when people say, hey, $30 with free shipping, we will counter at the same price and say we don't do free shipping if we see it. And I don't remember like getting immediate payment for that, but
I don't know. I'm suspecting maybe he's done this a couple times, and maybe those people have paid immediately because they were just psyched that you accepted their offer, basically. But
I would love to see where that's documented.
Yeah, I mean,
eBay.
That's the easiest thing. If this is true, just go to the comments at scavengerlife.com and put a link in, because it should say somewhere on eBay that that's how it works. I mean, this can't be some hidden Easter egg in eBay's thing. It should just be a commonly known thing. So, but I just wanted to bring this up because I just hate like these kind of, I've heard about this thing. It's a secret part of eBay. There's no secret anything. It's either documented or it's not. It'd be cool if it was.
The other part about it for me is I don't want to make taking an offer from a buyer more complicated to avoid them not paying. Like, I don't want to keep going back and forth. Like, I'm like, I like their price. I'll accept it. If they're not going to pay for it, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. Yeah. I mean, if I make them pay immediately because I counter at the same price, I don't want to confuse people either. So I don't know. That's interesting. Okay, next call, international call.
Hello, Jay and Ryan. It's Tom from YouTube, Tom the English Picker, who you interviewed a while back. I just thought I'd give you a call on the landline number that you've sent just to say hello, and also just to ask you a bit of a question about how you research your items. I'm encountering a problem lately of I've got some really niche items of which I can't seem to find any ones that have sold lately on eBay UK, because the amount of items that is sold on eBay UK is a lot less. The chances of the said item being sold is quite remote. So I was just wondering if you use WorthPoint or any other software like that. It was great seeing you guys in Amsterdam, and hopefully we can chat soon. Thanks for the great podcast. Bye.
Okay, first of all, I will say I wish I had a British accent because it sounds so awesome.
Yeah.
And we did have fun meeting Tom and his girlfriend in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I think it was his fiancée.
Fiancée?
Yeah, we actually met him in Amsterdam, and
that was so fun.
And we went to that big flea market together. So
Holland.
Yep. So we will also link to the interview we did with him. He's a picker out of England. But so this is interesting. I guess the question I would have is, I understand eBay UK would be a smaller footprint, so there's fewer things. But can't you just search on regular
eBay,
like eBay.com? I mean,
right?
Or maybe it is super. But here's the deal: for anything, sometimes we do come across something where it's unique
and weird,
that either we can't find anything like it, or it's hard to really gauge how popular they are. I mean, if it's not showing up on Google either,
then what the hell do you even have in your hands if it's not on Google?
Sometimes we'll find these items on a WorthPoint, which is one of these sites that
but then they have a paywall, so you have to pay to look at it and get the price.
But normally if I find something on WorthPoint, then I'm going to find it other places, Etsy or because all WorthPoint is, and there's a couple of other these sites, it's like I guess they pay eBay for access to their archive,
right?
And then they just put a paywall on eBay's archive. eBay just gives you access to 90 days of info, or is it 30
I think
days?
It's 90, yeah.
And so all these companies do is they just give you access to all of eBay's history,
yeah,
which always kind of that's one of the things that really makes me upset with eBay. It's like, why don't they just give all of us access to all history on eBay? Like, I can't imagine it's a big money maker for them to sell access to places like a WorthPoint.
Yeah.
But my point is, so WorthPoint doesn't have any kind of secrets. They're just showing you stuff that's sold in the past.
Right.
And if it's sold in the past, then, there should be something on online about it.
I mean, if you find something I've had items where it's this really weird, it's marked with the brand. It's a glass lantern. I had it. I researched it. I could find nothing like it. I found similar items. Like, I could figure out what it was. It was like this incense burner from like the 1800s, this perfume burner. But I couldn't find the brand marking to help me date it. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm putting $300 on it because, some that are Victorian like this sell for that much, blah, blah, blah. Great. I sold it for that much to a collector because they were like, I've never seen anything like this. I'm like, yep, me either. Glad you paid $300 for it,
Yeah, I mean, the point is like, there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
And we don't have the best answer.
Right.
Maybe WorthPoint would be cool, but it's, again, one of those things where we just cannot bring ourselves to pay $20 to $30 a month for a subscription service that, honestly, I don't know how much we would actually use. Every so often, because it's very rare that we find an item we can't find any info for, we just take a guess and we just do the best we can.
Yeah.
And if we put up too high and we aren't getting any offers, we'll eventually lower the price.
I mean, I think also, Tom, you are experienced enough in antiques and collectibles and coins and books that you probably have a good grasp on what to price it at with make offer or you know, something like that. So
you can be the one who sets the tone,
like someone searching for that in a month will see your price.
If it's unique, then you can set the market.
Exactly.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, this is Tracy in California. A little more of a comment than a question, but you had talked about selling your fondue forks at $60 versus other sellers selling them at $24. And I just wanted to really give other sellers the confidence in selling their items at high prices. We work really hard as sellers to go find this buried treasure out there. They wouldn't be able to walk into a retail store normally and buy a lot of what we sell. We save them gas money from going out and driving around to different stores to hunt it down. They don't have to deal with waiting in line. And they can curl up on the couch and click a button and buy all these amazing things that we find. Yes, we may buy them at a lower price and sell them at a much higher price, but we do a lot of work to find these special gifts for all these people and make things available to them, whether it's a part to an appliance that they need or a special unique gift. And so I just think it's really, really important for sellers to really put a price that they genuinely believe is right for their items. And yes, like I said, we buy at a low price, but we can take an offer at perhaps, half or 2/3 of the value of the item, and our customers are still getting a great deal. So because I price my items so high, I can still get the profit that I need off the item, and my customer is still thrilled because they were able to buy it at much less than they would have might been able to find it at retail, and probably most likely wouldn't have been able to find that unique vintage item anyway at retail. So just wanted to give all those sellers some more confidence about pricing their items at, really good prices and not selling their stuff too cheap, because we all work too hard photographing and writing descriptions and researching and listing to sell things at a lower price. So, I really appreciate that you advocate that, and that's how you operate your store. It's a great thing for all us sellers out here. Thanks again, you guys, for all you do. Your incredible podcast. We sure appreciate it. Bye-bye.
So this is a good comment, and we obviously very much agree with the fact that you bringing a unique item to market for people all over the world is why you should price things high.
I mean, basically, this comment from Tracy or this call is so perfect that really, if you just listen to this, we can just end the podcast and not do them anymore because, that's everything wrapped up in a nice little bow. I mean, the reason why us as sellers should feel confident about finding something for $25 and selling it for $60 is because we've put the work in.
Yeah. You did the research.
And you're selling it to someone that's so busy, they don't have time to go out and look for all these things. So it makes total sense for them to pay you a significant profit for finding the thing that they don't have time to find.
Right. And that's true for anything you're going to buy. I mean, you pay the person who's selling it to you for making it available to you.
Right.
That's what the marketplace is.
Right.
And for us, for unique, one-of-a-kind items, that's even more so the case, I find. The fact that we brought this rug from Amsterdam, I mean, $200 isn't a lot for that rug, but
it's not bad.
It's a pretty good sale.
But, I mean, we consistently are finding things for $1 and selling them for $30 plus. I mean, that in any business is an incredible markup. And that's why it's just so hard for me to get excited about selling on Amazon is because, I hear people, talk about their kind of profit margin. Just like, it's so much more fun like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for that call. That's a great, great comment.
Hi, Jay. Hi, Ryan. I just emailed you guys and you helped me set up ShipSaver for some insurance. And I was curious, when you have a claim, do you refund your buyer before the claim is settled, or do you wait for the claim to be settled before you refund? Because I don't want to make the customer mad, obviously. Thanks a lot for all your help. I'm a new listener, and I'm going to listen to all your podcasts. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Okay, so I will start this answer by saying it really depends on the item. Like, if someone buys a lamp from me for $200 and said it broke, I think I might wait until the claim goes through. Like, okay, look, we're going to do a claim. Let's get it settled. I'll give you the money.
I mean, normally what we do on a large item like that is we ask, send us a photo.
Right.
Because that, number one, it helps your claim when you're trying to get it. But it also, you're kind of making them
do a little work.
Just show that it's actually broken.
Right.
And then, so if you do it through USPS, it's different because they don't refund the cost of the
shipping.
Shipping, which stinks. That's why with anything either expensive or breakable, we use ShipSaver,
which is a third-party app through eBay.
And they're great, and they actually will refund everything, the cost
the full price
of shipping. And then, but if it's something really small, like some little tiny
like a mug,
item,
a coffee mug,
$6. I mean, we just immediately do a refund, and
we do ask for photos. I mean, anyone could be like, "It's broken, send me my money back." Well,
I think that I might be different from Ryan because this does not happen to us very often, so we don't have enough data points. But I'm more of I like to give the refund right away, and then we have to deal with getting our money back, just because as a buyer, that's what I would expect. I mean, I don't care if it takes the post office, a month to give you its money. I bought it from you.
Right.
It broke. You give me my money right now.
That's how we think of it. Yeah. How would you want to be treated if you bought, something and it broke and they didn't pack it very well?
But we've had good experience with a handful of times that things it's broken. We always get a refund from either a USPS or ShipSaver.
I don't think I've ever been denied because I make sure I have photos and proof and things like that. So also I try to pack things like crazy well so they don't break.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. This is Mama Jules from Indiana. I feel like your groupie. I eagerly await your podcast each week. Thank you. My question relates to international shipping. I've been at this about 2 years, and I always use global shipping. But I'm confused as to how the other international shipping that's offered relates to global shipping. There's so many more options there about what to exclude, what to include. I don't know if, eBay defaults to global shipping. So if you could give me some clarification on that, I would be grateful. I've only had one order that I shipped non-global, and it was to Canada, and somebody requested it. Everything else has gone global. So any clarification you could do for me on that would be great. Again, thanks. You make my days, and you really help me out.
Okay, so the way global shipping works is there are many countries that are in the global shipping program, according to eBay. And there are many categories that will ship via global shipping. For items going to countries that don't ship via global shipping, there's an alternative, and I set it to USPS priority. So that's why there's an alternative. You can not have an alternative and only ship via global shipping, or, vice versa. You turn off global shipping and it only ships via USPS. So that's what the alternative is. I have never been able to understand how to exclude certain countries like Canada from global shipping. People have explained it to me, and I still don't understand how to do it, and I've never done it. Because, a lot of people are like, first class to Canada, it does supposedly have tracking, it's cheaper, it gets there within a week. I've never been able to figure out how to exclude Canada. I know there's a way, I don't know how to do it. I would love it if someone made a video screencast on how to do it and show me so I can tell other people. But so that's basically it. Some countries and some categories are included in global shipping.
But it's for us, if the country's in global shipping, we're like, okay, fine. They ship to it's Morocco or wherever. We don't care, because that's a great thing. eBay is saying you get it to Kentucky, we take responsibility from there. And I'm telling you, it's probably one of the best things eBay's done in a while.
Yeah.
Because we've had items where we get a message from the person in the country that says the item got lost.
We haven't got it yet.
Their customs denied it because it was an item that it turns out they can't accept into their country. And eBay always says, we eat
Don't worry about it.
Right.
Not your problem. You got it to Kentucky. No big deal.
I don't lose a wink of sleep over it.
Yeah, so I love it. And,
that's all we like it.
There have been several items recently that are going to countries that are not covered by global shipping. I swear to you, every time the person's like, I didn't get it yet. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And that's my problem. And I hate it.
And you know what? In some people who sell are like, I get a lot of complaints, and we get them every so often because people are like,
it's high.
It's too expensive. We legally should be paying customs, but if you send it, they probably won't charge it to me. So please,
right.
You know what? That's great. If you choose to sell outside of global shipping and, send it only first class, that's cool. I mean,
if that's what you want to do, do it.
I think that it's a gamble that might pay off.
Right.
But for the couple headaches we get, it's just not.
I love global shipping. I wish it covered everything in every country.
Hi, this is Justin from Celery Fulfillment. I had a quick question. I've been looking through a lot of you guys' podcasts, and they're done really well, and you guys are funny, and it's just really great to listen to. I was just curious on how you got started with that, and if someone was going to go about, showing the items that they sell, and, if they go and get a coffee mug and they just show it and talk about it from the time they purchased it until they sold it. And I just wanted to get some insight on how you start a podcast. Where would you start? What would you buy? What do you use? Not eBay related question per se, but just really think the blog's awesome and the podcast is awesome, and I just want to get your thoughts. All right, thanks. Bye.
Okay, first I want to say I'm glad that Justin from Celery called, and thank you for sponsoring our podcast.
Yeah,
it's nice to hear your voice.
He's a good guy. We appreciate his support, but yeah, I mean, and we get emails like this every so often where someone's like, "I want to start a podcast,"
right?
Or people are sometimes like, "Can I be on your podcast all the time?" We're like, no. So
yes.
It's really, here's the deal: we don't have any kind of really fancy special equipment.
Right.
So we are just recording right now. We have a MacBook.
Right.
and we're just recording through QuickTime.
Just an audio recording.
And we're just in a quiet room. We always turn off the AC or the refrigerator.
The fans.
Yeah. And we're just like, basically, we are both speaking right into the computer
for a good sound. Now, we do record on an audio recorder most of the time, too. So that does help the audio quality. But like Jay said, if you cut down on the ambient noise, you're going to be fine.
And also, when we do interviews, we just use either Skype or Google Voice. And again, we can just record it right through the computer. Here. And then you edit with what? Audacity? Right?
Yeah, I use a program called Audacity. Now, we're talking technical. This is technically how we do it. I edit the podcast. I clip off any, arguments that we get into or just, things that we don't need to include that we're discussing between ourselves through Audacity, which is cross-platform, I believe.
And it's free.
And you can get it through for Mac or Windows or Linux, I think. So you can, trim your podcast so there's not weird, long, awkward pauses, which I like to cut out.
And, I think, and so we appreciate when people give the comment of if we sound so natural and, like you're right in the room with us. I mean, I think some of that has to do with just we kind of have some experience
in media,
kind of doing this kind of stuff. In another life we had, we would record ourselves talking. And I think some of that, too, is just getting over the self-consciousness that we all get when you're talking. Because you're thinking of people listening to you and judging you. And the great thing is we've gotten to the point where we don't care,
Well, we don't care, and I totally forget that a bunch of people listen to this later, and we get all these comments, and I'm like, oh yeah, people actually listen to that.
And ultimately we're doing this really for ourselves. This is documentation for us at this point in our lives, and maybe one day we'll stop selling on eBay, and we'll be in our 60s, and we'll be sitting on the porch, and we'll play these old podcasts, and we'll be like, remember when we were doing that?
Remember when we sold that rug?
That's so cool. And our grandkids will be there, and
Oh, that means we have to have children to have grandkids. But the other thing, too, is something that really helps if you do want to do a podcast or a blog or whatever is Jay is very good at this, is having an outline. So something we follow when we do either an interview or this podcast is, we have a certain number of things that we like to talk about. It's not completely just random. I mean, we'll go off on tangents and stuff, but it helps to have an outline what are we talking about next? Or what do we want to cover this time?
Yeah, I mean,
that helps a lot.
We hope that it sounds very free-flowing, but ultimately we do have, like as Ryan says, a list of things we're talking about.
Right.
So when we start getting bored of hearing ourselves talk about a topic, we can immediately jump to something else without having a lot of ums and ahs and thinking about it.
And I edit it so we can cut any weirdness out. But
that real quick, that is the other thing too, and this is it's nerdy. But I think that's why we don't like a lot of podcasts, or why I get bored with a lot of podcasts, because they record, they press start, they start talking, and then they press stop, and there's no editing in between.
Yeah.
And you'd just be surprised how much kind of wasted time is between there. And Ryan actually will listen to this entire thing, and she cuts out all the moments that are really boring.
Yeah. Anything,
and trust me, we do get boring.
Yeah, we do. Or if we are man, we're really repeating ourselves. We're just going on and on about something. I'm like, okay, I'll just cut it in a place that makes sense where we got the point across. We said what we wanted to say. We don't have to say it 4 times. So I think for, people listening, I think that's pretty important to just cut out anything that's repetitive or boring or... Yeah, and, not necessary.
And again, this is simply our style. I know that people on YouTube, and we talked about it, they do these Google Hangouts, or they'll have
hours long.
2 to 8 people all hanging out, and man, I swear one of them was over 6 hours. I'm just hey. But again, maybe that's just a different style. It's more just a hangout where maybe people put it up on their TV, and they're literally just kind of hanging out. They're doing things, and it's having friends. I don't know what we're doing.
I don't know. I think we're just very... I mean, my career background is a video editor. So to me, I'm just must cut out any non-important information, must convey the exact information, you know.
Ryan might be cutting out some of this stuff, but I think we've been rambling some. Net to you, Justin, it's not about the equipment.
Yes.
It's simply about your own authenticity.
Right.
You know, if you care about what you're talking about and have like, you know, stories that you can tell people, you're going to find the people that care.
Yeah.
One thing you could do is I would love to see a video on what you guys do at Celery.
I would love to see that.
And I know we've gotten questions about that. I would love to see when someone sends you a package of clothes or items, what's your process of photographing them and then putting them up and shipping them?
And how do you decide where to sell stuff? Because it sounds like you guys sell stuff in different places. I would love to hear how things sell in different places for you guys too. Oh, we have lots of questions.
Okay,
so
the last one.
Hey guys, this is Steve. I'm the person on the blog who has signed in with Google Plus. I'm wearing the dress shirt because I know you guys have several Steves that comment, but I just wanted to mention I was just listening to the Mikey and Wendy, the check-in with Mikey and Wendy, and I just wanted to talk about, you know, you guys were talking about Alibaba and you were talking about buying stuff new and doing things like that. There's also another alternative that some people do. Currently I work for what's called a deal website, and that's where people go on and they post deals like this item's on sale for this price. Normally it sells for this. And then I noticed that there's a lot of people that buy products on sale or on clearance, and then they turn around and sell them on eBay or Amazon. A couple examples are in some states, they subsidize the cost of like LED bulbs. So you can go into your local Home Depot or Costco, you can buy LED bulbs for really cheap because your local municipality power company is subsidizing those, and people will buy a bunch of them and then sell them on eBay. Another example is over the holiday season, somebody had a Canon printer, and they had the Canon printer for a really good price, and then it also included Adobe Lightroom 5 with it. And so a lot of people have been, you know, they'll sell the printer and then they'll sell the software separately, you know, as part of, you know, because they got it for free. So then they'll make money that way. So I know, you know, people are always looking for different ways to get products, you know, to make money on eBay. This way you would be getting products that were brand new, but you'd be getting them at such a low price because they're on discounts or on clearance, whatever the case may be. And then a lot of people will sit there and flip them on eBay or Amazon. So I just wanted to mention that for some of the people out there who have maybe never thought of this. It's, you know, there's different deal websites out there. If you guys are interested, I can give you some of them. But I mean, sometimes the deals are phenomenal. I've bought stuff just because they were such a really good price, and then they just sat around my house, and then I'm like, why did I buy this? And then, so then later on, I just turn around and I resell them on Amazon. And sometimes because they know it's no longer made any longer, I'll list it on Amazon or eBay for really high, and people will buy it because you can't get it any longer. You know, there's that type of scenario too. I know people also do that with Legos. That's really popular. People will buy Legos at a discount or, you know, discontinued, and then they'll hold on to them and then turn around and sell them. So,
okay, this is an interesting call because it's a different way to source.
So Mikey and Wendy talked about they go to AliExpress as like part of Alibaba, and they're buying like North Face jackets really cheap.
Although some people on the comments said that those are probably not real North Face jackets.
Yeah, I personally would not do that just because, number one, it doesn't excite me, and number two, yeah, it's like, I don't know if they would be counterfeit or...
Yeah, what are they?
I think, you know, and I've seen some of those. There's also some of those other sites where you can bid on lots of items. Sometimes they're like the... stuff that it's returned to a store, and they'll bundle them. And then, you know, I've heard people talk about you can't guarantee the quality items.
Right.
But I hear you. I mean, some people seem like they get into that. Like if you're into not wanting to go out like we do and dig around in the boxes for the junk, you know, I get it.
Yeah.
You can stay home and just buy things online and sell them. That's cool. I mean,
yeah, it's totally doable. People totally do it. It's like you're a wholesaler.
I think, though, ultimately, it's all about the same amount of time. So the amount of time it takes you following these auctions and buying things and waiting for it to come, and when it comes, taking the things out and reselling them. It's just, you're going to spend time doing this or you're going to spend time doing that. So just spend the time that's exciting to you. If you like buying light bulbs in one state and selling them in another,
go for it. You should do that. Absolutely. Everybody has their own strategy on what is interesting and cool and works for them.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Okay, so let's wrap this thing up here.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up here, and this is probably going to be a little bit longer, but people have been saying that's not a big deal. I think we're going to try and make the questions be a part of the normal podcast. And again, you can always call in at
540-407-8486.
And you can also email us questions as well. I will read them out, but we really love to actually hear from people. So
yeah, that's more fun.
And again, for anyone who might be new here, because I always just like to assume that not everyone knows who we are. We post this podcast normally Sunday nights or Monday, and then during the week we might post an interview or a what sold a video. So you can go to scavengerlife.com and
you can subscribe by email or on iTunes or through YouTube.
But I just want to say, a big reason why we keep doing this week in and week out, one reason why we're consistent is because of the blog at scavengerlife.com. We really love the comments, and that's really what keeps bringing me back. Like, if we didn't hear from people and hear how other people are selling things and get into little debates, I don't know if I would keep doing this
we'd be operating in a complete vacuum.
Yeah.
So to have people talking with us, sending us suggestions, asking questions, we're asking people questions.
And we definitely learn things from people too. So
all the time.
Get on there and let's start talking. All right.
This podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.
The end.